Hey guys, it's Anthony. For this week, I decided to choose Jurassic Park as my Insider Threat movie. All right, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was filmed in 1993. It's directed by Steven Spielberg and produced by Kathleen Kennedy and Gerald Mullen. It was number one movie in 1993 and raked in over $1 billion worldwide. It was based on the 1990 novel, same name by Michael Crichton. The film is set on a fictional island of Isla Nublar, located off Central America's Pacific coast near Costa Rica. There, a wealthy businessman, John Hammond, and a team of genetic scientists have created a wildlife theme park of extinct dinosaurs. When industrial sabotage leads to a catastrophic shutdown of the park's power facilities and security precautions, a small group of visitors struggle to escape the island. Okay, the procedures. In high hopes of putting investors' minds at ease, billionaire John Hammond, the park founder, requests paleontologist Dr. Alan Grant and his assistant, Dr. Ellie Sattler, to come to the park and ensure that it is safe and put their stamp of approval. Also joining Hammond's team is a lawyer, Donald Gennaro, and Dr. Ian Malcolm. As situations quickly escalate, Dr. Alan Grant and his colleagues fought for their lives in a very unstable park filled with unstable creatures. Found on an unstable technology operated by unstable and underpaid employees. Throughout their tour, they found many of the raptors that have been escaping at night, laying eggs throughout the park. It was obvious early on that Hammond had cut corners and refused to see inherent dangers to his beloved Jurassic Park. The Insider Threat, Dennis Nedry. Dennis is a computer programmer at Jurassic Park. While working there, he ran into financial problems and began to believe InGen wasn't paying him enough to do his job during his financial problems. There is a scene in the movie where he's arguing with John Hammond about how essential his job is and how underpaid he is. In addition, he is overworked. When realizing how valuable dinosaur embryos could be, he decides to he decides to seek him out of the park via a can of shaving cream. Dennis is also part of the security team, so he's fully aware of how to navigate around the park existing security controls, gain access to the dino storage location, and sneak out of the parks undetected. Dennis decided to accept a job from Lewis Dodgson to steal InGen's dinosaur embryos for $1.5 million so he could catch up on their research. The two met in a restaurant in San Jose, Costa Rica, where Lewis gave Dennis half of the payment and a can of shaving cream, whose bottom was a secret compartment designed to hold 15 of the dinosaurs' embryos for 46 hours. And if you guys would like, there's a YouTube link right here where you can watch that transaction. It's about 2 minutes long. And then spare no expenses, hires one IT guy. I thought that was a pretty funny meme I found online. Okay, preventing the insider tech. This was a very complex park ran by a single IT technician. Hammond was trying to do something that was never been done before and relying on one single IT tech to run his very complex park. There was not a single safeguard in place in case something failed or even happened. In this case, Dennis took a bribe. One simple malfunction could jeopardize the guest and could be stranded in the middle of nowhere. Jurassic Park was plagued by a failure of communication and organizational checks and balances, which led to employees hacking the system. Controls for information system were not shared, no backups were made, and they lacked succession planning. Only one person knew the system. Arnold, played by Samuel Jackson, was Nerdy's IT partner during this whole scene. At one point, he tried to access the park IT system and to turn its power back on, but when attempting, he said that Dennis's hacker crap is advanced, and he doesn't want to let you know into the system. Try and unlock the park 3 times in a row, and you'll be presented with the movie's accurate vision of his head tacked onto a cartoon Elvis Presley body, waving his finger as he repeats his phrase, "Aha, aha, you didn't say the magic word." There should have been a safeguard in place, but there was not. The whole thing was rushed and poorly planned. John Hammond lacked management side of operating the park, which led to employees doing what they want. There was no evaluation of the employees to this. Okay. Then the recommendations for No Dog Corners approach. Areas to improve was there's no disaster recovery plan. At Jurassic Park, the possibility of a system outage had not been fully tested, with no apparent disaster recovery plan. The park lacked proper maintenance procedures and ran an on the fly with calculated risks based on theoretic outcomes. Once Dennis had run his diversionary program, systems began to fail. Electric fences were no longer electrified, security doors were no longer working, phones were dead, as well as the countless other things. With no business contingency and disaster recovery plan, the only option was to have everyone go and take the shuttle back to the dock. Another sentence, complacence. The operations people at the Jurassic Park got lazy and laid back and forgot to do certain things, getting sloppy in how we want to be carrying out our tasks. An IT organizational culture that lacks code and design review process, and where no other employees understand how the code works or gives input on critical design decisions. It's a recipe for disaster. With the death of Dennis, no one was able to immediately remedy the system of glitches and failures. The park also relied on automation, with a considerable dependence on automated information systems, which removes the human judgment and the ability to intervene. I put too much trust in the elegance of the design. For example, the driverless cars, they were cutting edge at the time. However, they were totally dependent on all systems working, dependent on having all systems working. Once the power was brought back up, it was back on generators. The main power was supposed to come back on, but the system never did, bringing it to another failure. Overall, the park was very complex and filled with unstable creatures, founded on unstable technology, operated on unstable, underpaid employees without money. Animals barely were monitored. Money was the motivation and not safety. And here are my citations, and I hope you enjoyed.